Okay, so it's 3 weeks since the last time we met, and since in any case we did learn for 3 weeks, I thought we'll start a new topic just for today, at least this for this week, and that's Terumot and Ma'asrot. Terumot and Ma'asrot because I had a few questions in the last week or two about Terumot and Ma'asrot. How do we give Terumot and Ma'asrot? I have a basil plant in the house, a mint plant in the house. What do I do with Terumot and Ma'asrot? So today we'll learn the halachot of Terumot and Ma'asrot. And we meet usually this halachot when we grow plants in the house or in the garden. Okay, that's mainly when we meet it. We also meet it when we buy things from an unsupervised shop, like in the shuk. Some of the shops are supervised, some aren't supervised. We'll discuss the different halachot. And also if we go fruit picking. So what happens when we go fruit picking? I'm not sure we'll manage to discuss the fruit picking today, but just we do meet those halachot quite often. So there's a difference between Terumot and Ma'asrot from Vadai, which we know we need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them, and we'll just explain soon what's Terumot and Ma'asrot, and Terumot and Ma'asrot from Safek, when we have a question if we need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. A question of Vadai, we know we need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot. It grew in our garden, and or we picked it from a field, and we know now one took Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. So that's a place where we know it's Tevel Vadai. It's for Tevel, a fruit when Terumot and Ma'asrot were not taken from them. And Safek, Dmai, it's when we buy it from a shop, which is not supervised, and there's a good chance that they took already Terumot and Ma'asrot because they bought it from the main agronome, whatever the name of the company is, and maybe they took already from the Terumot and Ma'asrot, and other reasons. So maybe already Terumot and Ma'asrot was taken from those crops, but we aren't sure. So we take Terumot and Ma'asrot misafek. And there's a slight difference between Vadai and Safek. One of the main or important things is giving to a Levi, which we'll discuss also today. And we can't take from a fruit of Safek on Vadai. And so, for example, if I have lemons growing in my garden and I picked 5 lemons and I bought another 5 lemons from a shop, and I'm not sure if Terumot and Ma'asrot was separated from them or wasn't separated from them, so I can't take from the ones in the shop and on the Vadai, so and opposite. Okay, so it's 2 different categories. I can't mix them up.
Okay. If we did, Rambam Yomi,
Mixture, percentages, and what do we do? Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Okay, so that's just a very about. Terumot and Ma'asrot, it's a mitzvah midoraita to separate Terumot and Ma'asrot, and it's a mitzvah that depends on the land, which means it takes Terumot and Ma'asrot only from things that grew in Israel, fruit and vegetables, wheat, and so often that grew in Israel. If it comes from out of Israel, there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot. The same if something from Israel is exported, so it take Terumot and Ma'asrot when it is exported. I'm not sure if I told you once, but when we were in Memphis once, there was emails going out on WhatsApp. Be careful, there's peppers that came from Israel. Don't buy them because you have to take Terumot and Ma'asrot. I was very excited. For a few years, I didn't take Terumot and Ma'asrot, so I ran to the shop. It was Friday, not so much before Shabbat. I found the last pepper from Israel. It has a small sticker on it, Israel. I took the pepper, it was the last pepper. There wasn't the best pepper in the shop, the last one. And I brought it home, and on Motzei Shabbat, I took Terumot and Ma'asrot from the pepper. I didn't have time before Shabbat. And we took Terumot and Ma'asrot from it, so that was something special. Another special thing is, I took a piece of that pepper and a piece of a different pepper. Both of them were yellow. And I told the kids to close their eyes and taste them and see if they recognize the Israeli one. And sure they did. They knew which one was the Israeli one. So the good Israeli peppers that are exported, they taste like a pepper.
It's happened in Bergen County also, which is a huge university community. And Costco was selling carrots from Israel. That also there was no Terumot and Ma'asrot.
Right.
And there was this whole announcement. And I said something to the rabbi. It's like flabbergasted. I don't know. I opened up my article, said all the.
And just to take people are just scared. I think if you aren't used to the mitzvot of the land of Israel, people are scared.
You must spread now because upon the Torah Ba'aretz, you leave your coin with them, they send you a whole script.
Yeah, so the whole script, and it's not so hard to take Terumot from Ma'asrot.
I was told in Otef Aza that's doubtful whether that was part of Israel, and so therefore it's a suffix.
There's the questions: what's safek, what's not safek, what's considered Israel. For Shemitah, we have different places. The Arava, for example, in different places. What's considered Eretz Israel for Terumot and Ma'asrot and Shemitah, Syria. So that's a question. But we know places for sure Israel, and we can take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. And it's not so hard. As soon as you get used to it, it's not so hard. I have 2 coins at home. And some people will get to the coins soon, but some people pay the Keren of Ma'asrot, and it's easier. But we'll get to it very soon. It's not so difficult to take Terumot or Ma'asrot. Terumot or Ma'asrot have 2 aspects of them. One is separating Terumot or Ma'asrot, and before we separate it, it's called tevel. It's mixed up, and we can't eat tevel. So that's the first action we have: separating Terumot or Ma'asrot. As soon as you separate Terumot and Ma'asrot, you can eat the fruit that you separated, and what you took out of Terumot and Ma'asrot, you do the second mitzvah with it, and the second mitzvah is giving it to the Kohen or to the Levi. So there's 2 aspects here of the mitzvah. One is separating, and that we can do today, and one is giving to the Kohen or the Levi, and that some we can do today, some we can't do today, as we will explain in just a few moments.
Nobody's ever given.
Are you a Levi? So we didn't know. Just a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, I gave quite a few kilos of oranges and avocados and strawberries to a few Levim here. Okay, so since the time that we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, we can't do Terumot and Ma'asrot in the correct way, but we can do the best we can today. Okay, because we don't have Tum'ah and Tahara, purity. We'll get to it in just a few moments. Terumot and Ma'asrot have 2 kinds of Terumot. It's called Terumot, and 3 kinds of Ma'asrot. Okay, Terumot, it comes from the word leharim, and it's holy, it has kodesh. It can be eaten only betahara, with purity, as Truma. And Ma'asrot is 1 out of the 10th, which we'll discuss it in a moment, and that we can eat, or we can deal with it easier today. Terumot goes to the Kohen. Okay, the 2 kinds of Terumot go to the Kohen. The Ma'asrot do not go to the Kohen. Okay, so Terumot or Ma'asrot, so Terumot goes to the Kohen. A Kohen, generally speaking, cannot eat it today. You can't eat it today because you have to be tahor, and we don't have tahara today. So the Kohen can't eat Terumot or Ma'asrot. Most cases, we just we separate it. We do the first part of the mitzvah, we separate it, and then we wrap it in 2 wraps and throw it away. That's for Terumot. And then we have 3 kinds of Ma'asrot, which from that every year we'll be giving 2 kinds out of the 3. Okay, so let's we'll start from Terumot. Okay, I'm just mentioning something called Maaser Rishon, and then we'll go back to Terumot. Maaser Rishon is we give 1/10 to the Levi. 1/10 of the products we give to the Levi. 1/10 of that the Levi gives to a Kohen as a Truma. Okay, that's called Trumat Maaser. So 1/10 of 1/10, how much is that? 1%, per 1 out of 100. The Levi gives to the Kohen as Trumat Maaser. Okay, Trumat Maaser. And now we explain that. Let's go back to Terumot. So we said we have 2 kinds of Terumot. Okay, 2 kinds of Terumot. One of them, the Levi is supposed to give to the Kohen, and that's 1%. Okay, not the Levi doesn't necessarily have to give it to the Kohen. We can give it to the Kohen in the name of the Levi. So now, many times, we give the 1% to the Levi. So that's called Trumat Maaser. To the Kohen. Or we can give it to the Kohen theoretically. So Trumat Maaser is 1%, which is supposed to go to the Kohen, and he's supposed to eat it when he's tahor. He usually can't eat it when he's tahor, but he's supposed to eat it when he's tahor. Another kind of Truma is called Truma Gdola. According to the Torah, and that very much reminds Chala, which we learned many, many months ago, you can give a very small amount to the Kohen. If you have a whole pile of wheat, you can give 1 grain of wheat to the Kohen, and that's Truma Gdola. Okay, so we have 1%, which goes to the Kohen, plus a bit more. In the terms of halacha, echad mimea v'mashu. Mashu means a bit more. Okay, which 1% and a bit more than 1%. In the times of the Mishnah, when the Kohanim could actually eat the Truma. So the norm wasn't to give just a tiny bit, 1 grain. You have a huge pile of grain here. The wealthy people had maybe even tons of grain. It wasn't nice to give just 1 grain to the Kohen. So they gave to the Kohen between 1 out of 60 and 1 out of 40. So that was the portion they gave to the Kohen. So about 2%, more or less. That's what they gave to the Kohen as Truma Gdola. Anyway, nowadays, the Kohen can't eat it. So the Kohen gets the 1% which the Levi is supposed to give to him, but we can give it to him. That's called Terumat Maaser, and a bit that we give to the Kohen. Okay, that's the Terumot. As we said, the Kohen can't eat it today. So what we do is we call it Truma. We call it Truma, as we'll read the text soon. And then we wrap it in 2 wraps and put it in the garbage. There is a case where a Kohen can actually benefit from Truma. And I'm not sure if you ever did this thing, but I did it once. We made once olive oil. We made olive oil. And we picked the olives. It was a purpose. We picked the olives, and the olives belonged to someone. It wasn't Hefker. We'll hopefully get to Hefker soon, at the end of the year. The olives belonged to someone, so we picked I'm not sure how many kilos, but quite a few kilos of olives. And we took it to, we made oil from it. We went to a Druze village. We had the Druze connection, went to a Druze village and made for us the oil. It was kosher. We saw the whole process.
It's Druze, it's not Jewish.
No, but the how do you call the factory, the Beit Bad, when you make the press, the olive press, that belonged to a Druze, but the fruit themselves didn't belong to a Druze. So we had to take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. Now, what can you use oil for? Smearing, eating, and burning. You can light Shabbos candles from oil, right? A Kohen today can benefit from burning Truma. Okay, so if he burns Truma and benefits from it, he burns Truma in the regular way of burning Truma, he can benefit from it. He can't eat Truma when he's Tameh, but he can benefit from burning Truma when he's Tameh. So you don't take now a piece of avocado and burn it, because that's not the normal way of using avocado. But many people light Shabbat candles with olive oil. So I came to the Kohen with, I think it was 2 liters of oil, and gave to him as Truma, and his wife used it for Shabbat candles for quite a long time. So that's a unique case where we can give Kohen Truma. Most of us don't get to such a thing, but that is such a thing.
Use it for
no, just for burning, Okay, so you can use it just for burning. So that's about Truma, also feeding his animals, but that also usually, they say that the safari, that like all the animals belong to a Kohen, and then he gets a Terumot and Ma'asrot, and they feed it to the animals. That's what I heard once. I never checked it if it's true or not, but that's what I heard. That the zoo.
Oil be used for
like what?
For smearing.
So eating, you have to sorry. You say eating has to be eaten when it's tahor, right? It needs to be eaten to tahor. Feeding the animals, we said usually it's not practical, but that's what the safari, from what I heard, that's what they do. And smearing, I think it's called sicha. And yeah, you don't do sicha because we view sicha like drinking. Okay, we view sicha like drinking, for example, on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, how do you know a sicha? You are to smear oil on, but we learn it from drinking. Yeah, so we view sicha as drinking. Okay, so we discuss the 2 kinds of truma. One, and we say it's just a bit more than 1%. It's so 1 out of 100, a bit more than 1%. Yeah, a bit more than 1%. That's called truma. Besides the truma that goes to the Kohen, we have 3 kinds of ma'asrot, which in any given year, besides Shemitah, any given year will be giving only 2 kinds out of this ma'asrot. The first kind is called Ma'aser Rishon. Ma'aser Rishon is supposed to be 1/10, okay, 1 out of 10. Then we give to the Levi. Okay, so 1 out of 10 we give to the Levi. And we said out of that, the Levi gives 1 out of 10, which is 1 out of 100, to the Kohen. So Ma'aser Rishon we give to the Levi, and that happens every year. Okay, that happens every year with Maaser Rishon. We give to the Levi. Maaser Rishon, not like Truma, everyone can eat. Okay, everyone can eat Maaser Rishon. For example, if a Kohen has guests, he has guests who aren't a Kohen, can he give them Truma to eat? No. If a Levi has guests who are Israel, we come to a Levi and we eat at his house, can he give us Maaser Rishon to eat? Yes, everyone can eat Maaser Rishon. So Maaser Rishon, we view it's not something holy, it's not Truma, it's not uplifted, it's just a matter of money. It's a present we give to the Levi. And like a present, if we know he's a Levi, if we know the person is a Levi, or if we know that this actually needs to be taken Terumot and Ma'asrot from them, so we give it to a Levi. If we aren't sure that we actually really need to give Terumot and Ma'asrot from them, or if we aren't sure who's a Levi, so we just need to call it a name and say, this is Maaser Rishon, but there's not so much of an obligation to give it to the Levi. Okay, so Maaser Rishon, we need to define it, call it Maaser Rishon, this is Maaser Rishon, but not always we'll give it to a Levi. Okay, the most common case where we do not give it to a Levi is, there's a question. Do we actually need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot? I went to a shop, I bought a huge watermelon. Maybe they took Terumot and Ma'asrot, maybe they didn't take Terumot and Ma'asrot. So Truma, I need to separate and to throw it away. I can't eat the Truma. Maaser Rishon is something money. It's like a present to the Levi. So if I'm not sure I need to give it to him, I call it Maaser Rishon. I say that that's the name Maaser Rishon, but I don't need to give it to the Levi itself. More than that,
But we would have.
what do we do? So you eat it. You can eat it. Yeah, you can eat the Maaser. You can eat the Maaser Rishon. Furthermore, in the times of Ezra and Nehemiah, the Levim didn't want to come so much to Israel. Maybe they had a good life there. They didn't want to come to Israel. And we can, if you look at the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, he tries to, he looks for Levim to bring them to Israel so they can work in the Beit HaMikdash. And so he actually, and since then there's a knas, there was a fine given to the Levim, and we don't give the Maaser Rishon to the Levi. Okay, what's exactly the fine? That's a question. What's exactly the fine? Do we give it to the Kohen instead? Is the fine still in our days after the second temple was destroyed? So what we usually do when I pick a lot of fruits and I know you need to separate Maaser Rishon, I go to a Levi and give him fruit to them. I give fruit to the Levi. Okay, I give a 10.
How much is it? 10%?
I give 10%. It's actually 9% you give to the Levi. Why is it 9%? Because you're supposed to give 10% to the Levi. Out of that 10%, he takes 10%, which is 1% of the whole, as Terumot Ma'aser, and therefore they give the Levi 9%. Okay, so there's 9%, which is Maaser Rishon, plus 1%, which is together with that as a Terumot Ma'aser. If you read the text, okay, when you read the text in Hebrew just tells you exactly what you have to do. And when you read the text, you have a bit more than 100. You have a bit more than 100. A bit more than 1%, which is part of it is the Teruma Gdola, part of it is the Terumot Ma'aser, and then he says plus 9%, which is Maaser Rishon. So that's the text. That's Maaser Rishon. Then we have two Ma'asrot, Maaser Sheni and Maaser Ani. Maaser Sheni and Maaser Ani, we will never have them together. It will be or Maaser Sheni or Maaser Ani. We'll never have them together out of the cycle of the Shemitah, the 7 years. So the Shemitah, there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot, it's Hefker. The fruit don't belong to anyone. There's no Terumot and Ma'asrot, like any Hefker. We didn't mention it, but Terumot and Ma'asrot, you take only from fruit who belonged to someone while they were growing. But if it was Hefker, like Shemitah, it belonged to anyone, everyone can take it, there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot. So out of the cycle of 7 years, Shemitah, there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot. The 3rd and 6th year, there's Maaser Ani, we'll get to it in a moment, and the other 4 years is Maaser Sheni. Maaser Sheni was supposed to go to Jerusalem and eat it in Jerusalem, and then think of it, everyone has a Maaser Sheni. They come to Jerusalem, a big feast in Jerusalem, everyone has a lot of food, and you probably can't eat all the food there, so you just give it out to people, and people feasting together and enjoying it, and it really calls people being with other, meeting others, and tzedakah, and everyone can come there and knows there's food there. The Torah said, since sometimes you live far away, not everyone lives in Ma'ale Adumim, that without traffic, you can be there in Jerusalem very, very, just 15 minutes, depending on the road and the traffic, right? But if people live far away, sometimes it takes time. So the Torah said, take the fruit, transfer the kedusha into a coin, and the fruit eat as usual. It's regular fruit, and then keep the coins, gather them, go to Jerusalem, and you get to Jerusalem again. Buy food, buy whatever you want to buy beef, have barbecues, have friends. It calls a lot of people joining to each other. It should be food. It should be food. In the olden times, they used to take a coin which was the same value of the fruit. If you had fruit of a value of 10 shekels, so you took a coin of 10 shekels. Today, in any case, we can't eat the fruit in Jerusalem. So we take a coin, let's say 5 shekels, and every time, or 10 shekel coin, and every time you do chilul maaser sheni, which means you take the kedusha, the holiness from the fruit, to the coin, you say, I'm taking the kedusha from the fruit onto 1 pruta. It's about 10 agorot, more or less, of the coin. Okay, so if you have the keren of the maaser, keren maasrot, if you join them, so they have the coin for you, and you always say the coin that they have for me. If you have your own coin, so take a coin of 10 shekels. Okay, the first time, make sure you take Terumot and Ma'asrot on it, and say that I'm using a pruta from this coin, and then you gather for quite a few times. If you have a coin of 10 shekels, and let's say a pruta is 20 agorot. Okay, let's say. So you can have about 50 times you can use that coin. So that's quite a lot. So after you filled up your coin, we won't get into it now because of time, but you transfer all the kedusha to some sugar or something like that, and dissolve the sugar or burn the sugar. But that's we won't get going to. I don't think we have time for it now. So that's maaser sheni, and that's again, it's very simple. You have a coin once, you keep it somewhere where you know no one will take it. You just read the text, and you transfer the kedusha from the fruit to the coin. If you know that the fruit need to have Terumot and Ma'asrot taken from them, for example, you picked lemons from your tree, you said a bracha, also for Terumot and Ma'asrot, and also for transferring the kedusha to the coin. Okay, that's maaser sheni. Maaser ani is like when you have fruit that you need to take to maaser, you know they need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. You give some of the fruit to a poor person. Okay, you give some of the fruit to a poor person. Once I bought grapes which didn't take Terumot straight from the vineyard, and I didn't take Terumot and Ma'asrot from them. I made wine. Actually, Morris was fine wine. Not all the wines worked from that. That actually Morris worked. And I gave it to some kollel, people who weren't so wealthy, and they got some wine. That happens the 30 of the Shemitah cycle and the 60 of the Shemitah cycle. Okay, so you give some of the fruit to the poor people. Okay, and that's called maaser ani. And also that's very easy to take. You pick 10 lemons, so you give 1 lemon to a Levi and 1 lemon to the poor people, and that's it. Very, very, very easy to do it. So that's when we pick fruit from your garden. When I go fruit picking, I usually try to pick quite a lot of fruit at a time. Let's say 10 lemons, for example. Okay, 10 avocados. And then it's very easy to calculate. One goes here, one goes here. I cut this fruit, take just more than 1%, give it to Terumot and Ma'asrot. That's quite easy. What happens when you have basil growing in your garden? When you have mint growing in your garden? You have, I don't know, name it. You have a bit of rosemary. You take a small piece of mint. Now what do? I take a tiny bit from here, a tiny bit from here, and start counting. What do you do in such a case? You take a leaf off. So,
first time I asked this Shaila, I was told that the Taburim did not need it.
Okay, so
and then somebody told me it was mistaken.
It's a mistake. Yeah.
So that's again, and I was told you have to take it.
So there's a difference between two kinds of spices. If we eat the spices, or if they just give flavor. For example, if I take
basil for it, putting it in, cooking it with garlic and olive oil, not to eat the basil. If eat the garlic.
Okay, so if you throw it out, if you eat the fruit, the leaves itself, let's say you take basil and you grind it and put it in your pizza, you eat the leaves themselves, right? You make pesto, you eat the leaves themselves, you need to take Terumot and Ma'asrot. If you take mint and you put it inside the tea and then you throw out the mint leaves, there's a question, there's a safek if you have to take Terumot and Ma'asrot. So we should know that. If you eat the leaves, you take Terumot and Ma'asrot. If you just take the flavor out of them, there's a question. So you take Terumot and Ma'asrot if you're out of bracha. Whenever there's a question, no bracha. Okay, no bracha. Yeah. No, the question already brought in the Yerushalmi. There's no question outdated. It's already a very old question. Okay, and when there's a question, there's no bracha.
These herbs are growing in flower pots on your pesach and are not touching the ground.
So you still take Terumot Ma'asrot. You said, yeah. Now, here comes the practical question. I take every time I take a small piece of mint. What do I want? I take time it off. So we have two solutions for it, and both of them in that case can be lechatchila. Usually we don't say it's lechatchila, but both of them can be lechatchila. Okay, in a case like that, every time you just use a bit. If you have a garden, and everyone has access to the garden. Okay, it's not just you. Everyone has it. Let's say you live on this side of the cottages, and everyone can just go in and pick. You can say to your three neighbors, the herbs are hefker. Everyone who wants can come and take it, and then there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot. Usually we don't say to do it because usually you have a mitzvah, do a mitzvah. But here it's a question with herbs. Do you take Terumot and Ma'asrot? Don't you take Terumot and Ma'asrot? Even when you take Terumot and Ma'asrot, it's quite complicated because you aren't going to take it on a small part of a leaf. So when everyone has access to the herbs, you can say, this is hefker. Tell your neighbors, if you want to, just don't even knock on the door, just come in and pick a few pieces of mint, and then there's no Terumot and Ma'asrot in such a case. Okay, so when if it's hefker, everyone can take it. There's no Terumot and Ma'asrot, and in a case of herbs, that can be done lechatchila. Lechatchila, say hefker, get the mitzvah off you. We don't like to get the mitzvahs off us, but in this special case, so we can. Another option is we take a week ahead. Okay, I can't take Terumot and Ma'asrot now on something which will grow only in a month. But in a week, usually everything is still there. And let's say I know that every day I pick a branch of Louisa and make myself tea. Every day. It's like I know that once in the whole week, I pick and then quite a nice amount of Louisa or mint. So I take in the beginning of the week, let's say I know that in 1 week I pick 10 branches of Louisa, for example. So in the beginning of the week, I take Terumot and Ma'asrot and take a bit more than one branch and say Terumot and Ma'asrot. There's a special text, you can Google it, and if you want, I can send it to you afterwards in the WhatsApp group, of taking Terumot and Ma'asrot now for the future, for things which already grew. Okay, they're already here in front of me. I can see the leaves which I'll pick tomorrow. Okay, they're here in front of me. So I take Terumot and Ma'asrot now with the mind that it will be applied for the next week. And we shouldn't do it for more than a week because if I do it, let's say, for a month from now, maybe the leaves didn't grow. Still, I can't take now Terumot and Ma'asrot for something which didn't grow. And here I have to do two important things. One, the text or that I read has to say that I'm taking it now for what I'll pick in the next week. And second, to make sure that this branch I took as Terumot and Ma'asrot will exist for the whole week. So I take the branch, put it in a bag, put it in the fridge, mark on Terumot and Ma'asrot, and everyone knows it's Terumot and Ma'asrot, and now no one will take it, and it will last for the whole week. So then I can make myself a weekly Terumot and Ma'asrot. Every Sunday I take Terumot and Ma'asrot, and for all the herbs I'll take in that week. Okay, so that's we have 1 more minute. So we covered the basic rules of Terumot and Ma'asrot. It does maybe sound complicated because it has quite a few details of Terumot and Ma'asrot and taking it from a week from now, but it's a mitzvah which depends on the land, and we have the option to do it. So why not to do it? And yeah, it's a great mitzvah to do it. And just for herbs, you should know that we can do 1 out of 2, they said, or make it as a hefker, or take a week ahead. And not many people know that about the option of it. Make life quite easier when you take more muscle. That's
Transfer to.
Thank you, Rabbi Wendt.
no. If you transfer it for a coin, if you transfer you take Maaser Sheni, transfer the holiness into a coin, you can eat the fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, you can eat the fruit. You eat the fruit. And you treat it like just every regular fruit. The coin you have to keep in a special place. Won't get mixed up with it. And then you don't donate it. Then afterwards, that's another whole shiur. We have, I think, only half a minute. Afterwards, you transfer the kedusha, the holiness of the coin, to some sugar or something, and then you destroy the dissolve. Okay, but that's the biur ma'asrot. That's what you do with the coin left.
Thank you, Rabbi Wendy.
Okay, have a good day.
I'm already in Ma'ale Adumim.
That's great.